Now, as I've already alluded to, there's lots of perks of being a book lister. You get to work from home, so all of our book listers work from their own houses. Some live in apartments, some rent houses, some own houses, and the beauty is they can make $17 to $20 an hour working from home. And people want to be home for a variety of reasons. Maybe they have a family, maybe they have an elderly spouse to take care of. Maybe they just like to be home, and this gives them time to listen to the music they want. They can work in their PJs. They don't have to get up and go anywhere. So I think it's a great thing. Also, I think that another perk of book listing compared to maybe some of the other jobs that we might hire people for is it's pretty easy to learn. As I said, just a few hours going through like a 50 to 100 book shipment will give them enough of the information that they need to really get a head start, to get going. Now, of course, they're going to have issues and problems that come up along the way. It always happens. Some of it's their fault, some of it's not. They're just working with technology. And so we can expect there to be some problems here and there. But ultimately, it's very easy to learn, which means it's easy to master. They learn the basics, and then really quickly they can crank it up. They can get more efficient. And then instead of making $12 to $15 an hour, they'll be making that $17 to $20 an hour. And it happens fast, which is great. So our book lister, in fact, I just created a book listing job opening on Craigslist to go along with my book sourcing job opportunity. And I'm going to show you that right now to kind of show you what it looks like, what our job description looks like, and how I'm communicating to that people who might be interested in working for our company. So here it is. It's a book listing specialist. This is what I call it. Again, I just went to Google and I found a picture of somebody scraping labels. I know that's not technically what it's going to probably look like, but close enough. And also I just have a scanner. And I just wanted to give them an idea of kind of what was going to happen here. And I'll just kind of walk you through this. Again, I define a book listing specialist as somebody who sorts, prepares, lists, and ships books in bulk off to Amazon to be sold. Book listing specialists have the benefit of making good money while working at home. You'll acquire books that have been purchased by our book sourcers, and you'll be in charge of preparing them to be sold. This process involves removing price tags, assessing the book's condition, according to Amazon terms and conditions, listing the books using the programs and tools provided, and finally, boxing and shipping them off in bulk to the Amazon Fulfillment Center. This position will require 8 hours of work per week, with the opportunity to work more in the near future. So, again, we wanted them to start small. 8 hours per week is probably more than they'll have to work when they get going. And so the people that I've talked to already that have been interested in this position, I explained to them, the hours are going to be in relation to how many books are being sourced. Here's a list of tasks. You need to have the desire and ability to learn new technology, the willingness to master the art of label scraping, good attention to detail, physical ability to lift, push, and pull dozens of pounds of books, organizational skills necessary for basic bookkeeping, professional conduct and communication, a desire to learn new things, and the ability to make adaptations. So I want them with some creativity. I want them to know coming into this position, we're requiring them to think outside the box a bit. Compensation, book listers will be paid 25 cents per book prepped, listed, and shipped. And then what does that translate to per hour? I say between 50 to 100 books. I think 50 is on the very low end and 100 is on the very high end. So they'll be making between $50 and $20 per hour. In fact, it'd be $15 and $25 an hour if they're able to do 100 books. And in this ad, we provide the equipment, and I talked to them in more detail about how this is going to work. But we provide the Scotty peelers and scraping labels, heat gun, alcohol, paper towels, ink, barcode scanners, blank labels, boxes, downloadable listing software. How it will work is we'll buy a package, and then we'll give it to them, and they'll pay for it. They'll own it, but they'll pay for it monthly. I think that's the best way. If they said they had the money up front to buy all the equipment from us, they could. But I think most people that work for us don't have a lot of hundreds and hundreds of dollars sitting around. So I think it'd be better to have them pay in installments. And then what they need to bring to the table, we say you need to have a safe place to store and list the books. You need to have a personal computer. We don't supply computers. They need to have a standard size printer, and they need to have the ability to make small purchases for supplies, which they'll be reimbursed bi-weekly. So we'll start them off with like a kit, essentially, but it's their responsibility to buy ink and to buy boxes and to buy tape when those things start to run out. And they'll need to buy those things, put them on a business credit card or personal credit card, or whatever, pay cash, and we'll reimburse them every 2 weeks when we pay them for all the books that they've sourced. They'll kind of roll all their supplies into the raw materials, so to speak, into their book listing fees, give us that number via email with receipts, and we'll pay them electronically. And then if you have any questions, you'd like to set up an interview, get in contact with me with my contact information. So hopefully you found that ad to be helpful. Obviously, it's not perfect. I don't think it's perfect, but feel free to borrow it if you'd like. If you're thinking about hiring a book lister and you want to follow the same model, or you can take what you like and tweak it a bit to make it your own. But ultimately, you need to have a good job description, not only so that you understand the expectations, so that the people you hire understand what their expectations are. And having a good laid out job description is going to help you kind of walk through the requirements of the job, and so that everybody's on the same page. I think it's so important. And then you just need to find somebody with the proper skill set. Again, you need to. The idea is to build a team, to build an organization, even if they're independent from you, but just build a business structure that highlights people's strengths. So there are going to be some people that are really good at book sourcing, especially when it comes to negotiation. We have book sourcers that are that would go out there and be comfortable negotiating with store management, and they're very charismatic. They talk to the staff, that they're hanging out with the cashiers, and they bring a professional aura with them to the book sourcing environment. But then there'd be other people that are really much better working alone, working from home and handling logistics. They're much more detail oriented. They're not going to miss labels. They're not going to poorly pack boxes up because they're distracted. So I think finding out what people's strengths are, the people that you want to bring on board with your company, and plugging them into the right spots is so important. But again, like I said, need to be comfortable with technology. They are going to be poking around, trying to figure some things out here and there that pop up. They need to be disciplined and self-motivated. Again, you're not going to be telling them when to work, where to work, how to work. They're not going to be punching in. It's really up to them to get themselves out of bed. It's really up to them to do the extra work and effort, unsupervised, that needs to get done to get these books shipped out. These boxes will be a little heavy. Sometimes they get up to 50 pounds. So just having that in mind, and when you're hiring somebody, making sure that they understand that's going to be part of the position. Also detail-oriented. They're going to do some bookkeeping on their own if they're an independent contractor. They're essentially running their own business. So they need to keep track of all their expenses. They need to keep track of all the profit they're making, and they need to be able to communicate that well at tax time. And finally, they need to be honest, and that's a really hard trait to be completely sure of when you're hiring somebody, but it is really important because, like with the book sourcer position, there's ways that they could take advantage of your company, and maybe they're feeling lazy and they just throw all books into the very good pile, and they shave off 15 minutes of their listing time so they can go do what they want to do. But their dishonesty could cost you some negative feedback, could cost you some poor customer experiences, which could really have an impact on your business. So you want to make sure that they have integrity and they have honesty, and they're going to do the job they say they're going to do, and they're going to do it well. So just to wrap things up here, one more thing I want to say is it's really important, at least for our business model, to find book listers that are close to our book sourcers. Now, it doesn't make sense to have book listers and book sourcers too far apart from each other. The idea would be, I think the first step for me would be to find somebody to source books, and then to find somebody to list the books that they sourced. Now, I think it's really important also to keep these positions separate. It just adds a level of accountability, because if the book sourcer drops off 100 books, or says they drop off 100 books, but they really only drop off 80 books, the book lister is going to notice that. So you have systems in place to make sure that each other are holding each other in check. And then the book lister goes through all the books, and if they find any books that don't fit the Amazon terms and conditions, maybe they're workbooks that are missing pages or instructors manuals, they set those books aside, and then they notify us, and then we can make sure that the book sourcers are getting paid what they deserve, and the book lister is getting paid what they deserve, and kind of just has some checks and balances there. And then again, this is just a really exciting step for your business. I know that if you've watched this far, you're really excited about outsourcing your book selling business. And I guarantee it, if you just do the due diligence and you find somebody who's good at listing books, they're going to love it. They're going to love being able to work from home. They're going to love being able to make $15 to $25 per hour, and they're going to do good things for your business. You're going to be very pleased. Again, some of our book sources have just far exceeded our expectations. And some of our book sources have too, because once again, as an entrepreneur, I have like 30 plates spinning. I'm handling so many different aspects of this business. Sometimes it feels like my head's spinning, but for a book sourcer or a book listing specialist, they're specializing in one area. They can hyper focus on the listing process. They can get better at listing books than I ever could, because I can't afford to just focus on listing books. I have to be running dozens of more aspects to this company. So I'd like to thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you found it helpful in getting that first book lister set up, and we'll catch you in the next video.